Good evening. Welcome to Truthzilla. I'm Megan, sitting here with Scott and Ed.
Hello.
Tonight we're going to talk about...
Oh, man, all kinds of good stuff. Like, God. So,
I thought you were going to jump in and say we're going to tear apart the presidential debates.
Well, yeah. Yeah, we are. We're going to give you our unique Truthzilla perspective on it, because at this point, I mean, come on, guys, let's be real. It's Sunday night, or Sunday morning, I guess, and like we've been looking at this stuff for the last few days, but we're gonna give you our take, our little hot take on it, right?
That really super confused me for half of a beat.
Yeah, you know.
Me too. I was like, wait, what day is it?
I think it's Wednesday.
That's all right. That's all right, though. Well, we're going to get down. Because it ties into, again, it's like all these things tie together, dude.
Yeah.
The threads come in, the threads go out, and it's like...
like Neuralink.
Like Neuralink, dude. Like, of course. I was like kind of surprised. I got to give credit where credit was due.
Sure.
So initially on its face, like I'm sitting there just like, oh God, I'm so excited because like this is just going to be a freak show, dude. He's going to like pass Biden, right? He's going to pass out halfway through. He's going to freaking shit his pants. He's going to like, I mean, who even knows? Like he's going to start talking about like, black children sitting on his lap like he does all the time. Like what? Okay, I can't wait to hear the kind of gaffes that he talks about, for example. But no, dude, he held it together. I could not believe it.
He hold it together all by himself?
But did he hold it together all by himself?
Do you think he did?
And that's the thing, is what we know about Biden is that he's unable to perform at the level that he performed the other night. So what could it possibly be? Now, was it a clone? Do they have a whole warehouse full of Biden clones?
I hope not.
I know, we could talk. I would love to have like Donald Marshall on the show, who's a clone center insider, right? He grew up in the clone centers, and he can speak very intelligently about the clone life, right?
Sounds like thug life.
Clone life, dude. So essentially, in theory, there are little farms where they harvest clones. You know what I mean? Like it's just like.
I didn't realize we were going down this path.
I'm just saying.
I'm not prepared to discuss farms of clones, Scott.
That's all right. But it's like they could have...
Can we bring in the clone of Megan to discuss clones?
Yes.
Get in here.
Okay. So, exactly.
Children. That's what we have.
Right.
We do it the old-fashioned way.
Yep.
I do have a couple of those.
You do have a few little clones
me too.
around. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, who knows? In this day and age, it would not surprise me.
Yeah,
but...
totally.
I will. Well, we'll get into all that shit. So
wait, don't wait. Tear it up. What?
No. I mean, I just think it's hilarious. I saw a great Zero Hedge article earlier today. So this debate was held at Case Western Reserve University in Ohio, right? And apparently, after the debates, they set up safe spaces for all of the people that were triggered by the debate. So this is a Zero Hedge article from the 30th, 9:30. It says that Case Western Reserve University, the site of last night's presidential debate, has set up dedicated support spaces for students who have been triggered by the tense exchange. The university says students can discuss the impact of recent national events, including the presidential debate and upcoming elections. So there are 8 presidential debate support spaces.
How delicate are our children?
Well, I'm just. These aren't. First of all, they are not our children.
But like the children, you know what I mean?
And,
this generation.
And also, and these are adults who are not going to make it through the Civil War.
The upcoming
they're not going to make it.
Yeah.
If they couldn't handle a discussion that they didn't have to participate in or listen to, and now they're traumatized. It's obnoxious.
Yeah, if you're getting like collateral trauma from a freaking debate on ABC, like what the hell?
You're probably not a whole human.
Probably
maybe
not.
if
Probably.
you can't.
Something went wrong along the way.
Very
I
wrong.
get it, man. I just don't get it, man. Like, I mean, I feel like we are all in trauma right now.
Yeah.
There's like no doubt that we're all like
perpetual state.
like they're pushing trauma on us, but like the presidential debate is no trauma. No trauma.
There's no trauma.
There's no trauma. I'm good.
That's pure.
I could tell you about some life shit that was pretty trauma. I'm sure we could all talk about
Totally.
like what trauma actually is,
Yeah.
And that's the thing too, is it's like, it shouldn't be traumatic. Like we should see it for what it is, dude. Like it is theater, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just World Wrestling Federation for the 21st century, dude. Like it is literal theater.
Yeah.
Because
it could have been better. It could have. I was fantasizing the entire debate. I'm not gonna lie. I was fantasizing that Trump would just like really super gracefully just cross the stage and knock his teeth out of his head.
Totally.
I'm not condoning violence in the mass specter, but just
he's been on WWE, right?
Yep.
So
totally.
like
I think he's in the WWE Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Actually.
So like he could have just grabbed a chair, like
Wait, who's in the Hall of Fame?
Trump. I think I heard that.
What?
Trump's in the WWE Hall of Fame, dude.
Yeah, I'm
So
pretty
there's
sure
like-
he's
Pretty
been
sure.
on.
You can fact check me on that Facebook,
Yeah.
but anyway. So let's check it out. So there are 8 presidential debate support spaces available for students to attend, according to the university, which asks that everybody use respectful dialogue. So these spaces will remain active Monday through next Friday. So this will be the upcoming Friday.
whole
by the time you're
week?
listening to this. Yeah.
Of trauma centers?
Yeah.
From a debate.
Yep, and it says that this is a throwback to 2016 when education centers offered counseling after Trump won the election. So if you guys want to read the full article, we'll put it in the show notes, Zero Hedge. So yeah, we're good. So I think this was a hilarious clip. Let's talk about the outcome of the debate, right? So who you guys think there was a clear, decisive winner?
I mean, personally, I think this is my take. I think if you went in there liking Trump, you like Trump at the end. If you went in there liking Biden, you like Biden in the end. I don't think either one of them would have swayed the opinion of the other persons. I mean, the reality is they were kind of talking over each other a lot, and it was. I mean, I will say, like, and it's kind of overall things that, like, it did feel like the moderator was opinionated going right in.
Dude,
there.
that was the
like
whole
he
thing.
was essentially attacking Trump.
Totally.
So like there's no doubt about that in my mind. But I don't think it changed a mind either way. I personally, like, leaving that, I'm less inclined to want to be a part of the two-party deal still.
Yeah,
like
that's exactly it.
That's where I'm coming from. I'm stepping out. Like, yeah. I mean, I had major issues with what Biden is and stands for, but I also think that the Democratic Party and what they do, they have done this really good job of concealing themselves and making, like, I think, like, just the Agenda 21 stuff we were talking about last week. I think, like, they're selling this, like, new green way and this and that, but, like, we can see through that. But if you didn't see through that, like, it sounds like he stands for something good. It sounds good, but when you see through it, it's not good.
Yeah, totally.
That's my take on it.
What about him shutting down? He's like, I don't support the Green New Deal. That was
interesting.
That was
yeah.
interesting.
My main criticism of what Trump talked about in that thing was when it had to do with vaccines.
I know. That's what I thought we should talk about.
And when he was very supportive of we're going to get this vaccine. He talked about his relations with all the big players, the Pfizer and the Johnson & Johnson and the Modernas, and I'm talking to everybody. And I thought, man, like that's
I feel like he has to play politics. I feel like that the problem I have is whether or not that's going to be a mandated thing, right? Because, like, I feel like there's no way he can come out and just be a truther. Like how we want him to come out and be like, this is a fucking fraud, this is a false flag, and all this. I don't think he's ever going to do that because I think he would even lose his base.
Like I'm still like the same thing we always talk about. It is this theater or is it real?
Yes and yes to both of those. I think
certainly.
You know,
I'm sure.
I think Trump's definitely
yes
playing
no.
politics. I think Trump isn't conducting himself the way that he would if he didn't have to play politics. And I feel like anybody in those echelons of government, they have to play politics, or they're not going to be where they're at. That's what I think.
Sure, but I guess, like, I hear you completely.
Yeah.
But what I really want is someone to come out there and tell the fucking truth. And I think we all do want that. But at the same time, I'm not convinced that the American people don't want that.
Yeah.
So every single person that makes it to this point has been compromised to a point to where they have to play politics. And fuck that.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Yeah,
and
I
think it's foolish to think that Trump's not outside of that box because his positions has changed on that.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know what to think of it. I think part of it is to do with the fact that, like, we all sit at the table and say it's bullshit and the vaccine's all bullshit. But, like, if you're the leader of the free world and, like, a huge chunk of the American populace has basically been perverted to think that they need and want this, then how can he take a difference? Like, you have to give the people what they want.
But he'll sit there up on the stage and he'll call fake news the whole time. He'll say they're saying this, they're saying this. Like he was doing that about all this stuff. But he's given into this one. And he's switched. He completely switched. He switched his sides. He was like.
Maybe they told him he won't win the election if he doesn't switch sides.
You know, but that's the thing. I thought he was like. I know he wants to win. Like he is a businessman.
Yep.
Like he is a businessman.
Yep.
You know.
But do you think he really wants to win for his own personal reasons because he wants to be in power first? Do you think he really is afraid of what's going to happen to the nation?
Well, I think he's a nationalist versus a globalist. I think that's true. But I do think he's power hungry.
Yeah.
I do think he is.
Yeah.
I think I don't think you get to be Trump without, I mean Sam Tripoli, he comedian, whatever. I think he sees him pretty well. I think he's the new crime boss versus like the satanic pedophiles. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like I don't think Trump is like necessarily like this being of like good virtue and shining example of a human being. I don't.
So what have you seen about him that makes you think that he's not?
I think he's arrogant.
But why does that make him not be a shining human being? Like, didn't he earn some arrogance? Devil's advocate. If you had done what he did, would you be a little cocky? Maybe.
Maybe I just choose not to be cocky. Like, yeah. I'm just like I'm not a cocky person.
Yeah.
And I see those traits in the people I know that are like that, and I don't think that's a good trait.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you.
I'm not gonna sit here and I don't know.
I hear you.
I'm stepping back a little bit, but the thing is I still believe and I've said this the entire time. I believe we know what we're getting if we get a Biden in. Mm-hmm. I mean, and Biden's just another member of really the fucking whole Bush dynasty.
He won't even be in charge.
Yeah,
he's not even going to lead anything. If he gets in, it's only because they're using him as a puppet to usher in the fall of America. It's the same
system that's been controlling the government for generations.
They want to use him to bring China in.
And I mean, we are going. I mean, that's just the clear path to fucking human settlement zones.
Yep.
That's where we're going.
I agree.
So I think we have a chance with Trump to not go that way. I do think we have a chance. I think he is fighting some of the fights that we need to, but at the same time, and this is part of the moderator's fault and just the whole system's fault itself. But when are we going to talk about fucking getting our troops out of these fucking bullshit wars? Mm-hmm. When are we going to talk about some of this shit? I want to know some of that,
Yeah.
And I know, he tried to pull him out of Syria or whatever, and there was, the backlash, and, and who knows? Honestly, I don't
all that,
study.
I think, is him, totally, like you say, going to the other side and playing politics. All of that crap, because there's no excuse for it.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's people he could have pardoned that he should have pardoned by now that he didn't.
But at the same time, here's, I've been clear, I think my number one issue is the vaccines. Mm-hmm. And I think that vaccine scares the shit out of me. Mm-hmm. And it's not just that vaccine, because that vaccine is used to usher in all of the vaccines.
Well, what that vaccine ushers in is the loss of freedom.
Yeah.
It's a complete loss of sovereignty. You have no, if they're successful, and here's the thing, they've already been successful in mandating vaccines. They're already successful in some states of these citizens don't have sovereignty. Yep. And everyone in the United States is just quiet about that. They're asking anyway. Yeah.
But I just think though that I feel like those corporations, they're about as evil as fucking you get.
Yep.
And I don't want to fucking hear him. I just feel like he's playing ball with the fucking wrong people, man. And there was a time where I think he was standing up to him, and it fucking looked good. And just for my perception, and I've heard him. There's been a switch in probably the last month. Honestly, mm-hmm. It's probably been in the last month. And there was a part of me that's oh, he's just fucking playing the game, But then there's part of me when I heard him fucking talk about it last night, I was like, he's fucking serious about this shit. Mm-hmm. It sounded serious to me.
Yeah.
He sounded serious about it, and I just fucking. Dude, he didn't say anything about mandating, but that's the part of the moderators in these fucking questions is they're not getting to that. They're not asking the real question. I want to know, what do you guys think? Is this going to be
will you take the vaccine?
Yeah, and is this going to be something if you're president, are you going to mandate that?
Yeah, see, that's exactly it. Why was that question not asked?
Where's that question?
I agree.
If I'm moderating the debate, that is number one question.
They're asking what he believes about some bullshit science about climate change, but they're not insisting that Biden directly answer the question about his support of BLM, which of course he's going to sidestep because he would lose his radical base if he actually said what he needs to say. He can't say it either way.
And that's the hilarious thing about watching Biden too, is like, I feel like, and Trump was like really doing a good job of pointing this out. It's just like, you kind of represent these people that you don't really represent is what's going on here. Like all these people that are supporting you, like they really want all these things and you're pretending and playing and not answering questions because you don't really want to do that.
Yep.
Like you really have this like really corporatist left ideas what you want to roll out. Like it's very Obama era is what you want to roll out. You know, I mean, you pretty much like you're Obama's vice president. You are just like the old ugly Obama, you know, like that's what you are, right? Like that's kind of what we're gonna get if we get a Joe Biden. But the thing is like you see the agenda that was rolled through with our Obama. I mean, and just we're at a point though now to where the agenda has fucking sped up to the point with where if you put a Joe Biden in there, like we're fucked. We're fucked.
I agree.
So that has been my stance. Like I think if we don't get Trump, we're really screwed. But I don't necessarily think Trump is the savior either. And I do think I see the what I would call compromises happening that scare the crap out of me.
Yeah.
It really scares me to think that like Trump's the one trying to get this vaccine through by election time and this and that. And not only that, but he's talking to these people like, I don't know, to me those are like the evilest people in the world. The heads of Moderna, the heads of Johnson & Johnson and Pfizer that he's quoting on these stages, like that scares me, man.
You don't think he's saying that like as a way to have that front to like, again, to put like that sense of security for all of the people who are misled by that? And like, isn't he pretty much in the habit of keeping his enemies pretty close? You know what I mean too?
Yeah, but then, I mean, you have to kind of take a leap of faith to believe that like that's true though, you know, like I would rather then you have to like look around his words, you know, and I've said like I have wondered on some of this
There's
stuff.
been a whole movement. There's been a whole movement around that, dude. The whole Q people. They just look around his words.
Sure, there is. But I mean, and I'll be honest, I don't look into the Q as much to know all the stuff, but like from what I know, the little bit I know is like there's some good information there, but like again, like there's no one's saving us.
Yeah, exactly.
No one's saving us.
And that's the whole problem with the Q movement too, is that it basically says, all right, just sit on your asses, just wait. Q and the president, let them handle everything. We're like, we need to be out in the streets, dude.
Yeah, that's
like,
the thing. Is
Q
we
people,
we need
to get together and we need to, because our voices are not being heard at all, dude. And then they're doing everything they can to silence us, keep us apart. Like it's just diabolical.
Yeah. I mean, I've said it today already. Like we see something get censored, and I'm like, it doesn't surprise me. Like we're just in censors. Like it's just a part of life at this point. Yeah. Part of life is censorship. You see something that like you with some truth on it, and you're like, it's gone when you go to show it to somebody.
Yep. And just happened to us right before we taped. Yep.
And it's pretty consistent. And the one thing is, to me, it always lends some credibility. I'm like, well, that must have been some real shit.
Yep. That's how you know.
Yeah. Because when they take it down, they don't want you to see it, you know? So, Trump and Biden records. I mean, I don't even really remember what exactly they said in those sections.
I mean, really, all you got to look at is just like, okay, what's Biden all about? What's Trump all about? Like, what is their history in politics? Like, what's differentiates the two, right? Obviously, one of the big points that was made, and just what everybody knows, that Biden's been around for 50 years doing this bullshit, and he ain't done shit.
Yeah.
In fact, he's made it way worse. Like, you want to talk about, like, they brought up the 94 crime bill, dude. Like, are you kidding me? Like, you've done way worse things for minority communities than probably anybody. It's insane.
Yeah.
You know, versus Trump. I mean, he's been around for 4 years, dude. Like, it's insane, dude. It's not even an argument. It's not even an argument.
And realistically, I mean, the economy was in one of the best places it's ever been before what just happened. Like, and it is recovering very quickly.
Yeah.
So, like, we do have a lot of, like, I personally feel like there's definitely some hope for our economic growth. If Trump were to be president, I think that he's a businessman. Mm-hmm. He's a businessman, and I think like that part will go well. Like I truly believe that. But
if Biden gets in, they're going to shut down everything and just put the final nails in the coffin. It's going to be game over, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I think I mean that comes down to like his just. I mean, the mask thing is just like, I mean, that's kind of jumping to another topic, but the COVID-19, I think, and this is a piece like where we were talking, like, I think Trump totally does understand we need to open up the country.
Totally.
We need to open up the country, and Biden is like, we got to deal with the coronavirus. I think they're polar opposites on that.
Yeah.
There is a polar opposite thing going on, and I think there's no doubt in my mind that like we cannot go on without opening up this country. Mm-hmm. We need to open up the entire world.
Well, there's no doubt in my mind that either of them buy into the fact that we need to be doing any of the shit that we're doing in terms of like being shut down and being masked. Biden knows better.
Oh,
Biden knows better. Every single thing that he says is him reading off of his cut agenda. He sounds exactly like CNN. He sounds exactly like ABC. In fact, I'm pretty sure everything he said last night it's literally surface level quotes that have been repeated a million times over.
He rehearsed him. He had a chance to rehearse a million times over before. He had the questions ahead of time.
Well, I mean, this gets into like some of the conspiracy theories that we've been all noticing. I mean, I think there's several things that I think that need to be kind of addressed. Did he have an Neuralink? Mm-hmm. I mean, this is new tech, but I mean, if anybody's going to be using it at this time,
maybe that's why he's so screwed off all the time, is because they have put something in his brain. There's nothing that could logically make you think that that's actually going to be good.
Oh no! I mean,
that can't be. You can't put that into a compromised person's brain, and expect that it's not going to cause its own damage. I mean, we can't even get cell phones to work properly.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, give me a break. Now they've got something inside of your brain that supposedly works properly and perfectly in the trial.
Cell phones are used against us already.
Exactly.
I mean, we are controlled by these things.
Mm-hmm.
I was just listening to someone talking earlier about just like ditching and going back to a flip phone and like how freeing it is. Like I'm kind of thinking about that. I'm thinking on those terms, like I feel like that's where they get you because you have to break free from it, Mm-hmm. And but man, the thought of putting it in your head, and I mean we've jumped into a little bit of this transhuman agenda, but once the world starts going that way, it's two species we have now. Mm-hmm. We have two species, and that's. And I don't want to be a part of that other species, man.
Well, the new species, we will be the subspecies.
Yeah, I'm cool being human, man. Yep. I'm cool.
Yep.
Okay, so the Supreme Court issue is an interesting one. Mm-hmm. What do you guys think about this Supreme Court thing? Because he has this. Because here's my deal: is I'm just gonna say like he's president. He should get to pick the Supreme Court nominee. Like that is how it is. But this did just happen at the end of the last term, and the Republicans held it out, right? So they got So I guess I can see both sides to it. But I mean, I guess his argument stands like totally for real right now. But at the same time, like the shit was just reversed before, and. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
I don't know. I think if it was the other side in power, they would do everything they could.
Of course they would.
Yeah,
everybody.
There's no question about that. And like, I think it's so hilarious that their biggest argument is like, well, it was her dying wish to wait till after the election to refill the seat.
Imagine if 50 million babies had been given a dying wish.
Yeah, exactly. 61.6, right?
Yeah,
something like that. Last I heard, but it's like. I think it was like AOC was like on Ocasio-Cortez was like blabbing on Twitter saying like, and this is a man that doesn't even have the respect to honor a dying woman's wish. Like that's their argument.
I mean that's
sorry, but
dumb.
he's the president of the United States, and he's carrying out the duties of his office that is what he's supposed to do.
And it's not like
under the Constitution, that's what he's supposed to be doing. He's doing his job.
Yeah, and he's still president until like mid-January, by the way. Like, it's not like he's he's going to be out of office on November 3rd or anything
and
like that.
what is the thinking that we would possibly go into this, what we all know is going to be a contested election?
Yep.
With a half and half court. That's absolute lunacy.
Yeah.
That's why the radicals don't want him to appoint. This all comes down to feelings. It's all about hurt feelings. It's all about what someone wanted and wished. And that is not what this country was built on.
Mm-hmm.
This country is built on real men and women doing real hard work to make actual real progress.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
so
it seems intuitive.
Yeah.
It's interesting that it's even a thing, but that's what the left does. So they complain and they bitch and they moan and they point fingers and they call names because they are just unhappy children. They're unhappy children.
I think like no matter you said it, Scott. I mean, I think that like no matter who it was, if it was the left or the right, they're gonna do what they can to get their guy in. Like, of course they are. Like, you can't no matter what argument you have, like, of course they're going to. It doesn't even make sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you can call names, but it's like, of course he's going to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like
that's his duty. That's part
yeah.
of what he's supposed to be doing under the Constitution. Is what he's supposed to be doing. It's not like the election's tomorrow, and even if it was, guess what? It's still his duty. It still is. And if it was Biden or Obama in there, I don't think for 2 seconds they would give two shits about what some dying, pro-lifer.
But this situation just happened at the end of Obama's term.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the Republicans blocked the nomination until President Trump got into office.
Well, I don't think they have the ability to block the nomination at this point.
But yeah, I don't think they have it on this time. I'm just saying, like,
but if they did, they would.
Of course they would. Yeah,
Sure.
I don't think they have the ability to. I think what is their butt hurt because last time. So
Yeah,
like, well, you guys didn't let us last time, so you have to do it this time.
Yeah, that's right,
But, like,
motherfucker. You
that's
wouldn't
just
let
not
us
how
either.
it works.
Yep.
Yep.
So like, it's kind of like, well, I'm sorry, but the rules say we do this.
It's
so tough
interesting.
shit.
It's interesting that the Dems would be asking the Republicans to play fair.
Oh, yeah, hilarious. That's absolutely hilarious.
Wow.
Yeah, I think there's some fair criticism like of Barrett, the appointee, right? I think there's fair criticism, and I've looked into it a little bit. I guess there was a decision that she made that she's been under heat for by people on the right. That she at the state Supreme Court level she was at, she voted not to hear a case that pertained to COVID lockdown restrictions, and I guess in that decision she even cited the Jacobson case.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So, which is concerning, concerning.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people were speculating that even if the election came down to a Supreme Court decision, would she even side with Trump? So a lot of people were saying that the same people that are whispering in his ear to push her nomination forward are the same people that are saying, hey, this Fauci guy, you should get this Fauci guy on your, you know what I mean? The same deep state actors and stuff like that. And then I was looking into the other alternative, another female judge from Florida, and I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but she was one of the ones that unsealed all the Epstein files and shit. So she's a gangster, dude. So I'd be I'd be a lot more inclined to hear. And I heard she represented Elian Gonzalez or something back in the day, or she was in the news related to Elian Gonzalez back in the day. So, she's been in the headlines for a little bit. But anyway, I don't know. I'd like to know more about that. But the COVID thing, dude, damn, that seems like that's the number one thing that I would be not supporting, somebody who is not interested in going anti-COVID, dude. Yeah. Lockdowns. So.
Yeah, I mean, so on the subject of COVID, this is the big one, and as we were talking a little bit before, it's just you're right. It's probably not realistic right now for anyone to come out and say what I want them to say.
Yeah.
But
you're right, because he has.
God, would I love someone to say? I would love for him, because the reality is, for a while there, he was the one speaking some sense about this thing. He was the one who came out with the hydroxychloroquine, and said he was taking it. He was taking it right off the bat. He was talking about some real shit, that the media was attacking him on. That they shut down the drug that was curing people because Trump said it.
Mm-hmm.
That's realistically, that's exactly what happened. But that was also the thing that made me wonder if it was theater.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Oh man, I would just love for someone. I would love. I feel like if anyone were able to, it would be Trump to come out and say, you know what?
Maybe he's waiting till after the election when he doesn't have to play politics so hard, and he can come out and say, on the federal government, level, we're encouraging the governments to open everything back up with no restrictions.
We're telling you to open up right now. Yeah.
But the states, it's interesting the way that the federal government can interact with the states, right? They can't just come in and make decisions for the states. And that's why, with all the arson here, they could, country. I agreed.
Yeah.
But I think that that will be, I'm hopeful that will be his position. It's we're going to open things back up. And if you want the vaccine, fine. I've done that for, all of you who want it. But, those of you who don't.
But all you frontline guys.
Keep being free Americans.
You can take it first.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. But I certainly think he's on the better side of it. There's no doubt. There's no doubt on that. And there's probably some truth that anyone in there right now has to play some politics, which I'm sick of playing politics. I'm sick of picking the guy that pisses me off less. That's the deal. I want the guy. I want one of the three of us to be running up there saying we're opening the damn country up. This is all bullshit.
Yeah.
That's what I want. And I think there's a lot of people that would support that. That's the problem is when you're up there, you've been compromised in some way because I think that there is at least half this country would just go, hell yeah.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
Let's do that.
They would.
I think one of the lessons we learned from the Agenda 21 episode is that, a lot of the change, not only is it the change that most directly impacts you, but also the change you can most directly affect and the most change that goes unreported under the radar is at a local level, and that's where the Agenda 21 piece comes in because all of that is being implemented and rolled out at the local level. And one of the things I know about George Soros, for example, they have been funding and strategically placing district attorneys and sheriffs and all that stuff to subvert from the inside, from below, you know what I mean? And while they got us all out here watching these two old guys scream on a stage at each other, it's really all the actual change that's being implemented and the pieces that are being put on the table right now are all happening at a local level, you know what I mean? And that's what it feels like. Just as I was driving over here to watch that with you guys last night, I was just this eerie sense of just this just feels like a setup. This is going to be some weird mind control technology being beamed to the TV at everybody because they know everybody's going to be watching it, or is this going to be some catastrophic event or some terrorist attack? Something doesn't feel right about this. This feels like a setup, you know what I mean? This is all just something just is not right with the energy about this whole thing. And so at the same time, while we're all staring at the Trump Biden thing, there's something probably much more diabolical happening underneath the surface and behind the scenes. 100%.
Yeah. Agreed.
Because this is not. Just look at it. Who in their right mind, out of a country of 320 million people, and the Democratic Party themselves have solid people that I would probably vote for even over Trump, Tulsi Gabbard, dude. Hell yeah. Some certain people that have really taken some serious positions on issues like the bringing the troops home sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Totally.
There is millions of extremely articulate people that probably do actually have the country and the people's best interests at heart, But they get this guy,
Dr.
Biden,
Shiva.
dude.
Let's get Dr. Shiva.
Yeah, Dr. Shiva. Hell yeah, dude. I'd vote for that.
It's
it's really just insane, and that just tells me. It's told me this whole time, back even the primaries when even Bernie was running. It's okay, this is a great little litmus test to see whether or not this is all theater and bullshit. If they put Biden in
anything
over
from the Bernie thing, it's it was theater.
It's theater because there's no such thing as a Biden supporter versus Bernie in the Democratic Party. There's 0% chance that there's probably one Biden supporter for every 10 million Bernie supporters.
Well, and it's just I sent you guys the photo the other day. I finally saw my first Biden sticker on a car.
Yeah.
How many months went by where I don't even, they probably made two of them,
Yeah.
Well, and and so too, how we talk about, when we see news going up and being pulled down or immediately debunked or immediately been flagged as false information, that we know that's how it's not false information. We know that's what we need to look into. That's a good indicator. But, also the Democratic party has pushed forward Biden as their best candidate.
That's the best they got.
That's the best that they can offer. That is the best hope that people who support him have for their future, potentially.
So that's how you know they're throwing the fight.
And he's absolutely not in support of the United States Constitution. He's not in support of a constitutional republic. He's a total turncoat. He's an absolute traitor and a Marxist. He's an absolute racist. And his history across 47 years would show that. If we don't even bring in the pedophilia.
And I have actually just a question, and I want to see if either of you guys kind of know this. Is he part of the bloodline?
Possibly.
Because I mean, I was just listening to Sam Tripoli earlier, and he was saying that Biden is the last piece of like the Bush dynasty.
Oh wow!
Because he was saying that everyone from Reagan through Obama was kind of all part of the same bloodline dynasty thing, and that he included Biden in that group. I don't know if it was the same bloodline or if he's just part of that group that's been kind of running things for a couple decades, really. And that is a big part of this agenda going on right now, So I think there could be something to that, And I do think he's linked to all of them, And again, I always shout lots of respect to Sam Tripoli. I really just like how he sees this thing, and he speaks, definitely a little bit on Trump's side, but also very cautiously. I would say, just because, again, I don't think he thinks anyone's saving us. But he made a pretty good analogy in the podcast I was listening today. He's like Trump's Godzilla, man. You ever see a Godzilla movie? Mm-hmm. Godzilla comes in and he's scary and he scares everybody and he steps on the guy crossing the street and this and that, and then he goes back in the water. But then you see the big bad monster coming back in, and Godzilla's got to come and take out the big monster.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's a good analogy.
So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, let the Truthzilla come in and kick some ass, dude.
Totally.
There you go.
Totally.
I mean, to what you were saying, I remember seeing this a while back. Like there was like a girl, like a middle school student, who did a whole like research project on this. It actually tied.
Sure.
What was it? 34 of the 44 presidents have direct genetic descendants from Charlemagne, a brutal 8th century king of Franks, and 19 of them direct descendants from King Edward III. So they are all of the same elite bloodline. So yes. So Biden, I'm sure, of course he is. And then even like, John Kerry, George Bush, both Skull and Bones member at Yale University, right? The shake, up on the stage debating each other when they have, as a part of their little fraternal organization, have sworn allegiance to each other above all else, above family, above nations, above God, have allegiance to each other above all else, and they're up there debating each other and acting like they're enemies when they call them brothers under skin, the Bonesmen, the Brotherhood of Death, Skull and Bones. Yep.
So, and I don't know. Like, I would be curious, and maybe one of our listeners does know. But either way, he's been in politics for 50 years, and he's been with all the bad players, so we know that. So.
Oh yeah, and it's like just to what Megan was saying too, like he's just blatantly racist. Like I have. A film clip that I compiled of like all of his racist stuff he said over the years, and it's so bad we can't even play it on this show. Like we can't even play it on the show, dude. Like it's like old clips from him like in the Senate from like the 80s and 90s, and it's like, dude, it's out of control. It's like, I don't know, man. Maybe we'll create a Patreon page. You guys can listen to that. But like, dude,
well, like even if you took that out, because like people say screwed up crap in their lives, right? And so even if we want to give him a free pass on that, but if you look at what he's actually done in his career, what he's actually done as a career politician, it has been detrimental to minorities. It's detrimental to women. It's detrimental to humanity. It's detrimental to the nuclear family. He's absolutely corrupt. He's nothing but a lost meat suit. Mm-hmm. It is. He's nothing inside him to save him
it's
from
funny
this
you
life
put it
or
like
the
that
next.
though, because it's like I mean I think, and we'll get into it, but he felt like a meat suit up there. Like it felt like
he looked like he
he's got
like
black
robot.
eyes.
Yeah, robot man.
He's got things crawling in his arms.
What in the hell was that?
Yeah, robot arms, black eyes. I thought Joe Biden had bright blue eyes. Like what's going on here?
So what did you say that?
Not when he's being fed his answers through his contacts.
This is a theory. This is called a Mojo lens.
As you probably all have heard, Apple Glass was just leaked a couple weeks ago, and it promises amazing applications for augmented reality. But what if you wouldn't even need glasses and instead would just use a contact lens that gives you superhuman powers in an instant? the Silicon Valley startup Mojo Vision has already raised over $150 million and is working on exactly that technology. They want to be the leading provider of AR contact lenses. Sticking a piece of tech directly into your eyes to display augmented reality sounds not too easy. So, how does it work? What will be the use cases? Well, I just brainstormed for around 5 minutes and came up with a lot of science fiction type use cases. Zoom capability, infrared vision for workers, distance tracking, annoying dog filters for anyone you look at, a digital cheat sheet nobody sees. All sounds good, but what does the company say? Steve Sinclair, the Senior Vice President of Product and Marketing of the company, speaks of things like remembering someone you have met before, a virtual teleprompter, real-time translation, and closed captions in the real world.
I mean, that's... I obviously we don't know, but that would make sense.
Yeah,
it would make sense. I mean, I think it comes down to kind of the thing that and this is maybe sounds positive, but I think Joe Biden seemed on his game too much to it didn't fit his character.
Yeah, and there were points too, like I've noticed very, very vividly, like, oh, he's just reading. He's definitely reading the teleprompter where he just like zones out, like he's like, oh. Just like staring off into space, like he's literally reading or studying something, or he's getting information fed to him or something.
Because he's not that articulate.
Not that articulate at all.
I've not ever seen him be that articulate. Unless he's talking about kids bouncing on his knees.
Yep, exactly.
Only then.
Exactly, and played with those leg hairs in the swimming pool, right?
That's it.
And it's like, but another theory, an interesting theory, I listened to Alex Jones earlier, InfoWars, and he was talking about how like he was all, like his face and his hands looked fuller than they did in previous, just within the last few weeks, and they were saying like he just had these blood infusions, you know what I mean? Which is what athletes do. Like they take the blood of like teenagers, adolescents, like the elite rich. I remember even watching an episode of like what was that show? Silicon Valley, like HBO show, the Mike Judge show.
Yeah,
where like one of the CEOs of one of the tech companies like has this young boy that lives in his house that donates blood. He's like, oh, that's my blood boy. You know what I mean? Like they just make jokes out of him because he gets infusions of like youthful blood, right? And so that's one of the things that are like, which can be detected, I guess, in drug tests. So that's one of the things that Biden declined doing is not taking a drug test and declined being scanned for any sort of electronic devices on his person.
That is the fact that like, and so
why would anybody be okay with that?
Mm-hmm. Like you made a good point. Like
it makes sense though. Like it seems like if we're questioning these things and he's not getting tested for them,
yeah.
So
then your answer is that he's completely compromised and corrupt. And why would anybody who even first wanted to vote for him be okay with someone like that in control of their sovereignty? And that's what it comes down to. I don't give a shit at this point what anybody else is voting on. What I want to know about is my sovereignty and the sovereignty of my children. Sure. That's it. That's the only thing that I care about going into this election.
I'm with you. But the thing is, what they have done, and this has been the media thing, is they've created like no one's voting for Joe Biden. They're voting for not Trump. Mm-hmm. That's all they're voting for. No one. That's why there's only one. There's only one sticker on one car that I've seen. That's yeah. It's.
And exactly, and like, why do you hate Trump? Why do you hate Trump? That's an interesting discussion in and of itself, right? Yeah. They even tied it back to the whole like Charlottesville thing, where he said, there's good people on both sides, and it's just like, okay, well, of course that's been blown out of proportion ever since that incident happened.
Also, he's not wrong,
and it's like we're not obviously nobody anywhere is defending racism or white supremacists. That's totally not the issue. Like it's like, okay, when our governor comes out and says that. Proud Boys and white supremacists are causing all this violence and destruction. Like she's creating the
like
violence.
Literally, they came here after the city had been burning for 100 days. After the mayor was up there with the crowds, rioting. Literally, not protesting, rioting. Yeah. She's such an absolute subversive. She's totally corrupt and lost.
Katie
Kate Brown, our governor.
She's a horrible, sick individual. And not only that, but then also the chairman of the Proud Boys.
Yeah.
He's a Cuban American.
Yep.
So he's not a white supremacist.
Yeah, his name
is Enrique
Tarrio.
That's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a person of color, the head of the Proud Boys, okay? And
he's super grounded. Anything I've read that he has to say.
Yeah, I listened to an interview from him earlier today. And now is it okay, so here, let's just say this. Okay, in reality, in like reality here on the planet Earth, where we all live, as much as a lot of people want to deny it, is it okay to have a discussion about the Proud Boys without being considered a racist. I don't think it is. Like, that's in the reality of the universe, in the Milky Way galaxy that we live in.
Yeah, but we're talking about a reality that's not based in reality.
Yeah, but
we're talking about you can't ever base normal life or normal discernment off of people who are radical zealots. Yeah. That's it. Because their voice, though it might be loud, is invalid. Mm-hmm. It's invalid.
Mm-hmm. And it was funny today, like on social media, I saw all these people who were just posting comments, hundreds, thousands of comments, and they're all like, stand down and stand by, right? That was the only thing that they said, because that's when Trump was confronted about, like, hey, will you say that you don't support white supremacism and white supremacists? And he said, sure. Yeah, he said, yeah, no problem.
Also, that's not the first time that he's come out and spoke. In fact, just last week, he came out and said that the KKK was an organization. Absolutely.
Yeah. So he's been very clear on that.
He's very clear on it.
And you know, he knows that, like, the Proud Boys aren't a freaking white supremacist organization. It's not. And it's like, but that's the thing. That's the thing too. It's like, it's so. What I was gonna say is that, like, on the social medias and all that stuff, like, all these people that are saying stand by, stand down, whatever the fuck, right? Like, they're just getting that from the headlines. They're getting that from the headlines that are on their CNN feed. And I'm just like, none of you have an original thought. You don't have any original thoughts in your head that have not been spoon-fed to you. Like, that's what you're doing, is you're just regurgitating things that have been spoon-fed into your head. And it is so transparent and so obvious, because you don't even know what you're talking about. Anybody that, like, is just, like, out on the streets fighting, like, saying that the Proud Boys are, like, you know, it's
they're calling him misogynist. That's another thing. They're calling him misogynist, women haters, all this. So as a woman, let me tell you that is absolutely not how I perceive them. That is not how they come across to me. I have a lot of female friends. Likewise, that is not how they're coming across to any of us. I've read a little bit about this. I've watched, I mean, just here we're in Oregon. Okay. So we're like an hour and 20 minutes from Portland. And so we've got the problems that we're having, the arson that we're having, the death that we're having, the rioting, the people, you know, intimidating other people. It's not the Proud Boys. It's not the conservatives. It's not what was the guy who got killed up there? Who was Patriot Prayer?
Patriot Prayer, yeah.
It's not those people. It's not. And you have to be a straight up lying fool to actually say that to anybody's face and be serious. The problem is the absolute fascism that's being pushed by BLM and the ideology of Antifa, which isn't an organization, apparently.
It's just an idea. It's just an idea.
So let's just say that it's an idea that is held by the psychopathy of true criminals. They're garbage humans. They're garbage humans. I don't care if they go into somewhere to meet and they're a whole organization with their own flags. We all still know what they stand for. There's no confusion there. There's no confusion there. And what's happening... But I'll stop.
No. I just want to jump in for just a second, though. So, like, first of all, I don't know much about what Proud Boys are. Yeah. I've seen, like, a headline, so I'm not going to, like, act like I have. But what I did notice, one thing that was really interesting, though, was, like, when I think it was an Oregonian article.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so they're
so corrupt.
So they're like... They're talking about that rally that happened before it happened, and they're talking about how they have to make sure they police this thing well or try to shut it down because it's caused violence before when they've come and people have died. The problem was it was the Patriot Prayer guy that was the one who was shot.
That's it.
So they were twisting a fact to make the violence come from them when the violence came from the other side.
Right.
In the example they were citing.
Well, they keep saying that's the big argument too, is that they're not from here. They're coming from other places. They have no right to defend something that isn't theirs. Bullshit. This is my nation. This is my country. These are my people. These are my cities. And I say I don't want to watch them burn to the ground. I don't care where help's coming from. If you want to stand up for something righteous and help my kids to walk down the street safely, if you want to stand up for our constitutional republic and our sovereignty, if you want to stand against violence and fear and just debaucherous behavior, you come on in and do that, because the most of us want you here. That's absolute ridiculous garbage. They're not causing problems. They haven't caused problems. I was getting into about the New York 9 thing that happened. Again, if you watch the footage on that, they weren't at fault there. They weren't at fault there. Anything that I can, unless they've cut that video to be completely look like the Proud Boys, weren't at fault. Because if you just watch it play through, you can see that it's the other side. As always, it's the other side pulling people out of their cars. It's the other side setting fire. It's the other side going into restaurants and intimidating people. It's the other side causing all of the subversion. They're the ones mixing the mud. It shouldn't even be a question in a normal thinking human being's mind that we stand up against what is wrong. It's not about politics. We stand up against what is wrong. We don't watch people be murdered. We don't watch cities burn down. We don't watch them tear apart our monuments, our schools, our values. We don't watch them tear apart the family and act like, oh, well, that wasn't my neighborhood, so therefore all of you can fuck off and deal with that in your neighborhood. No, because it's coming to all of our neighborhoods. And we're going to need, in fact, not only do we need them, we need all of us to stand up in our own unique way and be against this. We all need to be gathering to be against what's going on.
Yeah.
Because it's not the ones that, and it's only the Democratic governors. It's only the few select, corrupt, bought, absolutely evil Democratic governors that are talking this complete, and it's absolute lies. It's absolute lies. Because, and it's like you mentioned earlier, Scott, because if we really were having an issue with white supremacy in this country, with the way that the media blows everything up, we would have all heard about it.
Yeah, even if
by
it's
now.
the slightest indiscretion.
The slightest thing, you would have heard it, and you don't. They're stretching out and reaching.
Like they tried to get Kyle Rittenhouse on it, but he's like, "No, bro, I'm gonna sue you. Great, I'm gonna get that Sandman money."
So yeah,
Sandman money.
So, anyways, to me, it's just so clear. I think to like a lot of people, it's just so clear. But these, it's classic victim. My feelings are hurt. Childish, lost soul behavior. My feelings are hurt. Make me happy. Wipe my bottom. Pat my back. Pay my bills. I'm gender fluid. I have no beliefs. You should have no beliefs. Make me feel better about the way that you're handling yourself safely. Off you fuck with that.
Yep.
I'm a whole American woman. A whole entire American still standing in a country that has a document that's meant to protect me from people like that. The reason why that document's there is so people can rise up and protect one another. That's it. That's it. Because if it could have worked the other way, then Brown would have called in her counselors to de-escalate those situations, and that's not what they're doing. The hate and the anger that are coming in is from the Marxist organizations. It's from the fascist organizations. And they can say anti-fascist all that they want. That doesn't negate what they stand on and what they fight for. When you are trying to ruin a country and bring a whole nation of people down, and again, this is a complete farce. The things that they stand on is absolute farce. I have still not had one thing come across in 6 months, come across anything that I've read that would at all give any credence, any articulate credence to the fact that we're having this huge race war. And in fact, now they're tearing apart people who adopt interracial kids.
Oh, yeah.
Now, 20 years ago, that was the way that they indoctrinated us then. Like, okay, well, we're all one, right? We're a fluid, nation. And so I love your kids. You love my kids. We love all the colors. We love all the nationalities. That was the whole point. The agenda to undo racism was done. It's done. That's it. That's how you have mommies and daddies adopting kids, not only from our country, but from other countries that are of a different ethnic background, of a different religious background, of a different skin color, because they don't give a fuck. They don't. I've been saying that all along. Americans don't care. We don't care. It's not an issue. They are constantly trying to pit a problem that isn't there so that they can have the divide, because without the divide, they can't make the nation fall. That's it. This is a George Soros. Look what he's done in other nations.
Yep.
He funds them.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that on another episode. But this is about bringing our government and our country down. It's about taking the American people away from their freedoms and aligning us on the same low plane as all the rest of the world. I don't think so. Who would stand by for that? Right?
Yeah. No, we're with you. We're with you.
I don't know.
We're with you. No, I just you referenced one thing that I don't. What's the New York 9 thing?
Oh, so there was I should have checked and seen when that happened. But so the former chairman stepped away from Proud Boys, and I think it was there was some scuffle that happened in New York, and I should have seen when it was. Do you happen to know?
Not off the top of my head, no.
But that was, I think, when I was reading, like, okay, so like really tell me, like, what is it about Proud Boys that we aren't supposed to, like, what did they do so wrong? Like, help me, like, okay, I'm in an echo chamber and I believe what I believe. So help me understand why I don't want to stand for something that's not good.
Take a step back here.
Yeah, show me.
Because I just don't, like, I honestly, I don't take in a lot of media that's from the mainstream.
Yeah.
So I kind of am behind on some of
I've only just started doing it lately just to like beef my own
it's good to have both, right?
Because then you are making, and we talk about that, not being in our own echo chamber.
Sure.
I have like ethics and morals that I believe in. So it's easy for me to say, and that's true of anyone, right?
Sure.
I don't know if Biden supporters have any ethics and
there
morals.
There have been like certain ones, like I've just shut off CNN. I would get articles, I'm just like, I can't handle it anymore. So
I get like little blips, or I'll like find articles and then just like go down rabbit holes with them, in particular just like that, because it comes, and it comes against us so often that we're extremists, right wing, Trumpers, Satan worshipers, racists, like the list goes on and on.
Sure.
And so it's partly to bolster my own, like, okay, and I've said this before, like, if I'm wrong, if I don't have the information, show me. Be polite. You need to come at me politely. You need to be respectful when you come at me.
You guys come at us, but trust me. Trust me.
You need
Especially
to talk,
if you're going to talk to Megan.
You need to talk
be polite.
real super respectful when you talk to me. but I will talk respectfully back. But the truth of the matter is too, and I know that about you guys sitting at this table too, we are in the business of looking for the truth for the truth's sake.
Sure.
Not because we have an agenda, but because we want to know. And we have our values. Like, this is what we stand on. This is what we stand for. This is what I want for my life. This is what we want for our fellow human. Like, this is what we want for our kids. And along those lines of the things that we consider to be ideal as Americans, as, dads, friends, moms, whatever it is our situation in life, right? Like, we want to have the best information available to us. That's the way it's supposed to be.
And with that, we're always looking and gathering more information, and our views are changing. Some.
They do.
They're changing.
They change a little bit here and there.
I mean, that's why we were talking about this debate right now. Like, I'm talking about like I shifted a little bit on Trump because of some things he said about this issue. Right? But I think that But a step back though. Like, so in your words, what is Proud Boys? What does it represent?
I think in my words, let's see. I think that I don't know what I want to say they represent. I want to say as a collective, I see them as like essentially, and I don't even know if this is going to get taken.
It's like a bro club.
It's like a bro club, dude. Essentially,
it
is. It's like a bunch of dudes. It sounded like what I was reading. Like a couple of them were like, we just kind of hang out and like drink beer. Like we just like. We believe in like family, we believe in, country, we believe in, patriotism, and like we get together and hang out. And to me, that's like that's no different than any of our cliques, right? You get together with your people and you do what you do with your people, right?
Sure.
But like I feel like that they do have like that political ideology, which I don't think is like the main part of who they are. I feel like that this is like a quiet organization of strong men. That's what I would say. To me, they come across as strong men, the kind of men who, historically we would have seen like go to war and, and actually do some good and I mean that like in terms of like you're fighting along people. I don't mean that war is good, but I mean just in terms of like their integrity with each other, right? These are the kind of people that stand up for women. These are the kind of men that stand up for trafficked children. These are the kind of guys that will stand up when it's not comfortable and say, you're wrong, this isn't good, this is corrupt, this isn't good for America, this isn't good for families. And they're being completely called out of their name as if there's something, and I've said this in previous episodes too, that is the agenda of the radical left and has been for all. They want, with the whole feminist movement, they want to take women away from their power, and with the whole emasculating men and making it be that to have a strong voice, you're a misogynist, you're a racist, you're against anti-women, and it's such a farce. First of all, because I have a number of men in my life and in my family who are very, very strong, powerful men who maybe because they have family values and they don't believe in like putting children to death, and maybe because like they're not okay with what's going on in Portland, like they want to speak up against that. They're called the most horrific names, and it's what we stand for. We want people like this at our back. We want these kind of people to stand up. This, to me, they're an organization of essentially like strength, and that they will stand. I feel like that they are the kind that will stand up for the underdog. They are standing up against a criminal psychopathy, which is like literally like burgeoning and blooming under everyone's noses. And thank gosh, so we have organizations like this, because otherwise it's just the radical left taking the fucking country apart.
Sure.
Now, what do they expect us to do?
No. They expect us to lie down and allow the New World Order to come in to our homes and take us away.
Is the argument against them just that they're racist because they're stopping the riots?
I think that they have a history of, like, from what I heard part of an interview with Enrique earlier today, and he was talking about how they have a pretty strict vetting process to get people. Like, you have to apply on, you have to go to their website, you have to figure out what the local chapter, the local Proud Boys chapter, you have to apply. They do a background check, make sure you're not a scumbag, all this and that. But I think he said that over the years, people have tried to infiltrate. There's been, like, white supremacist individuals that have infiltrated, and he said that the people that planned the Charlottesville incident, like, were trying to align themselves with, but were not actually Proud Boys, and so they got a lot of heat for that.
Sure.
It was that Charlottesville incident where the person
So
turned
again,
into,
what
like,
happened in Charlottesville?
it was like
You guys have to get.
it was like literally like KKK, neo-Nazis like marching in the streets, and there was a bunch of counter demonstrators, and then like allegedly one of the not allegedly, like a car drove through the crowd of the left-wing people, and somebody died.
I mean, I just dropped my train of thought. I was going to say something further on that.
It's interesting though that we started on the debate and we're like so in this other world, but I think this is good stuff to talk about. It's happening right now. I mean, the reality is we've all made our stand against, like, what has been going on in Portland is unacceptable. It's unacceptable to burn.
Like,
down
I feel like
city.
I feel like that by like day 4, like as the governor of the state, I'd have squashed that shit hard, hard. Yeah. And she doesn't further her cause, even though they have no discernment, so they don't see that. She's totally culpable. I mean, I am of the 100% belief that she was behind some of those arson fires. There's no way, because she is such a staunch. She's trying so hard to push this New World agenda via the climate change thing. It's only her, Newsom, and what's his face up there setting fire to the West Coast. Right. But I mean, Ohio's not on fire. Florida's not burning to the ground. Like, I mean, Texas not burning down. But I mean, that's it. Right. Because climate change is just like, it picks and chooses.
Democratic
climate change just
states.
picks and chooses what it burns down. Right. It's not has nothing to do with forest management. It has nothing to do with arson. Of course not. And in fact, I was counting today because like I was reading more about how what did they say? Like the Oregonian said they were human caused fires. And I was like, that's arson. That's what we call arson.
Yeah, they could have saved a lot of ink. Like, instead of human caused fires, they could have just put arson.
George Carlin talked about that when he was talking about how they would say, like, he would, I remember he joked about that back in the day. He was like, I'm waiting for them to, like, what they basically try to do is they try to make things not be important or impactful by making it be longer, right? You're taking, like, rape is rape. Right. But if you're like an unwilling sperm recipient, it takes the sting out of it. Yes.
Rape is rape, or it's like, I got a Bill Gates injection. Is this safe?
But do you know what I mean? And so that's that entire agenda to just like completely blanket stuff with words to make it be less impactful. And that's a big thing too. I feel like that's happening with the left a lot is they back to the Proud Boys, like they really don't want the truth. Like, how we were just saying, like, oh, well, like, okay, I read some other shit today because like I wasn't sure. Like, if I'm wrong, like I don't want to sit, especially like I am a huge loudmouth advocate in my house. Like, 90% of all the conversations that happen in my house with my kids all day long is this crap. It's like I never expected that would be my life, but I feel like literally my children need to understand what's happening because they are the ones coming up behind. Like when I'm gone, they have to deal with this shit that we're leaving behind, right? And it's like Billy Ray was saying, right? Like how we're like the foundational piece. Yep. And so you have to be able to. Ooh, I get.
The foundation. They're the foundation.
Yeah.
But you have to be able to like openly discuss this. You have to. The left doesn't want to hear the truth. Because they would have heard what happened in Charlottesville and been like, oh, all right. So that we don't sound foolish, let's just see what these guys are really about. Okay, all right, well, listen, their chairman is like, he was raised in Havana, like he's a Cuban American, but white supremacy.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think
but they don't want to know. They don't want to be.
There's no doubt that like right now, like racism is being used.
That's the buzzword wild card.
Buzzword that, and it is just, it divides the hell out of us.
But I'm less afraid. At this point, it's been directed at me so much.
Sure.
I'm just like, okay.
Yeah.
Right. Why are we still Facebook friends? Why are we having this conversation? Because you clearly believe that I wish, want, am against somebody else based on their ethnicity or their any.
That's the most preposterous.
It's the most preposterous thing. And in fact, I literally don't know one person. I have not even interacted with someone who's 2 degrees separation away from an actual story that someone could tell me that they have been involved, or witnessed, seen, experienced. White supremacy. Where is it?
That's your white privilege, Megan.
Oh, is that what it is? Is that what it is? Because I think that the left media would have blown it up. I'm pretty sure, right? So it's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. Well, I deserve to be sacrificed to the,
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yep.
But anyways, it's maddening.
I'm gonna wrap this all back into though the debates we were talking about earlier by one thing that we got on topic there for a second there was the fires. And Trump, Trump described, like, I mean, his description in the debate was that that how the forests are managed around here, in this
which they're not. She made sure of
like,
it.
If you just put a cigarette butt out, you start a forest fire. Yep. So I just want to hear you guys' thoughts. I mean, obviously we have talked a little bit about the fires. When we always send people to Dean's episode, he does a great episode.
Up is Down podcast. Up is Down podcast.
But
hi, Dean.
Hi,
up, Dean. Hey, Dean. Woo.
But I just think. I think there's more to it than that, but I just want to hear what you guys have to say about it.
The fires?
Yeah, what do you guys think of what do you guys think of Trump's response? What do you guys take? I mean, obviously we've talked a little bit about the fires. I mean, I think there's a number of reasons. I always point people back to Dean's episode, but I think obviously there's some arson that went on at the same time.
Well, I was scrolling my feed today because they're trying to debunk it so hard. Sure. Like it's not arson, it's climate change, and those that weren't climate change, it's not like
Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan. He came out like he had an episode with who was that guy that he had on? They talked extensively about the arsons that were going on, and then after the episode, he comes back and makes this like public apology and says he didn't have all the information.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
You mean like Joe walked it back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's starting to concern me a little bit.
Well,
he's starting to get
how much money did he get in this deal?
But that's it.
That's it.
How much money is on the table here?
But you know what? Okay, I'm going to say this. Like, I feel like that this particular piece of scripture gets way blown out of proportion. People will say, "Oh, that's money is the root of all evil." That's not what scripture says. Scripture says the love of money is the root of all evil. And if you understand the word love throughout scripture, we're talking about the Bible talks about agape love, which is like all-consuming, not of yourself. You don't put yourself first. You love others first and above yourself. So the love of money. So if Joe truly had, and this is the thing that blows my mind because he already has money. He's already doing okay.
Yeah, sure.
So to me, it's like we've all talked before. Like, how high can you actually get before you've given something up?
Sure.
Right. How how much can you entertain a dark energy and have that not impact who you are as a human being? You can't entertain dark energy and expect that won't corrupt you to some degree.
Sure.
You either have to choose a path of righteousness and a path of integrity and stick to your guns, or if you're able to be bought, then you never had it. If you have a price, you never had it.
And Joe Rogan he's an interesting example though. I mean, because when he made that switch, there was a lot of talk about like, oh, he's going to be free now to say all this stuff and everything. But it wasn't all the Alex Jones episodes.
But all he's doing is
right off the
it's like they haven't brought them over. And, they haven't into the archive, I guess.
So it's interesting. I obviously I keep coming back to Sam, but Sam always defends Joe and just
totally. Well, Joe defended Sam, dude. They took away Sam's channel, and Joe said, "You better give my boy his channel back."
Yeah.
I got a lot of respect for Joe, but it's like, yeah, dude, what's going on here?
Well, it's just like the Trump thing. Like he's starting to make me be like, I don't. It's like you said with Trump. Like some of the stuff that he's doing now, I'm like, I kind of thought like that we had you as like that you were a truther. Like that you were on board with the good shit, and here you are, like, and so that what I was gonna say is like today I was just like, okay, they keep saying that the arson isn't a thing, it's climate change and blah blah blah. Well, we all know that they don't manage the forest here, so that is a huge thing. I have my ex-husband's family, father, they've all been like avid hunters, right? Like for ever since he was little, and even like 20 years ago, you know. Longer now, like when I first met that family, I remember him then talking about, I remember it being the big, like the spotted owl. Remember that?
Yeah,
there's a
totally.
whole big thing about the spotted owl. And I'm a big animal rights girl, so I mean, I won't even take it down. I mean, there can be checks and balances, right? You can have a little bit and a little bit. Like there can be compromises. There can be things that are sustainable without having to wipe everything out.
Sure.
But what they've completely done is just let this stuff completely go. And I remember his dad back in the day talking about how like prior to like hunting season or, you know, a couple times a year, he would go in because he had all kinds of, you know, equipment. Like he would go with like bobcats and different things. And literally he's like, they don't maintain, like you can't even get trucks up there. And he's like, and if there's a fire, he's like, everyone on the hill screwed, you know, everyone's going to be lost. Like I remember him talking about that then. So like as to, but I was scrolling Facebook and I was just going back and like, okay, I'm just going to do a search on arson in my feed. And I stopped counting at like 70 different articles of and arrests, flat out saying like these are like KTVU whatever. And like, you know, even the Oregonian early on before they changed it to the human cause fires thing. But we're talking about arson. And it's not like one or two instances. This is agenda arson. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it is like, a thing.
There was like fire chiefs. Do you know that there was like a fire chief that lost his job?
Yeah, they did take him
I
out.
think there was a sheriff that was caught on camera being interviewed and talked about how it was deliberately said, and I think he said something about Antifa, and last I heard he was suspended.
Yeah. So the fire chief that they replaced, that I think that one of the ones I know about that they replaced with the female.
Yeah.
Okay, so what he did you hear about what he did? Right. So basically, and he was like, you know, it could have been seen, you know, in such a way. And he was like being cool about, like, I kind of understand why they do, like, he's playing politics about it. But essentially what happened is there was like, in simple terms, the way I got it is there's like a burn zone, right? No one's allowed to go back there. Like you can't go past, you know, and that's why they had roadblocks and all that stuff up. And part of their jobs is to go back into burn zones and see if there are survivors, see if people are left behind, right? Like that's part of what they do. Where he crossed the line is he had a man that was concerned about family that didn't get out. And so even though they would have done that anyways, but because it was an employee, a fireman, when he went back to check on the family, he violated the rules of going back into a burned area and they let him go. That's what happened.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll find the article and send it.
Yeah.
But so again, I come back to this though. That was an excuse because you see who they replaced him with, right? So they take a seasoned, I'm going to say it, they take a seasoned, experienced white male out and they put in a young female who I don't even know what her experience is, but I guarantee that he didn't deserve to lose his job because he was trying to help make sure that the family members of one of his employees wasn't dead or burning. Yeah. So again, that's Kate Brown agenda. And he might be playing politics because they put him on paid administrative leave, I think is what happened at first, right? They replaced him, but they like put him on paid leave. So he's not going to say anything to jeopardize that. But everyone, I feel like, can smell blood in the water. If it doesn't look like the truth and it doesn't smell like the truth, it's not. And that's it. And that's where your inner voice comes from. Like you can tell when something's not right. And the fact that they're hiding why, except for that one article that I read from him like 3 days after the fact, there's been nothing else about it. Well, why would that be? And maybe she's also the kind of like fire chief who's not going to talk about it being arson. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like this isn't just about that he went and did his due diligence and that's what they said. They said that he took advantage of his authority by doing that. So I wish we would have a lot of men and women that would take advantage of their authority.
Hell yeah.
Like, step up to help some people. You know
if you're out there enforcing this stuff, shame on you. If you're out there enforcing your own enslavement and perpetuating these agendas, shame on you.
Yeah.
I will defund your ass all day long.
Yep. Yep. Totally, man.
Yep.
Totally.
Bam.
Okay, so let's see where we're at here. So let's see. I think we've discussed just about everything. I think the last one that they kind of really went into was the voting and the voter fraud. I mean, I
Who actually believes that that's not a thing? How many, just in the last week, how many news articles have I read about tens of thousands of ballots in the backseat of
Project
a car?
Veritas. Check out Project Veritas.
I mean, and people are like, oh, it's not fraudulent. The hell, it's not.
Yeah.
Why would you push so hard? Again, we're standing on a false flag agenda to be able to roll out this voting by mail, which we already know that the radicals are perverting this election completely. Why is anyone okay with this? Why even is why would you ever want someone in power? It's so brainwashed, because why would you ever want someone in power who would corrupt things to that degree just so you could say you won? This is why I'm talking about. These are completely criminal psychopathy children. They're completely lost.
I mean, the only other counter argument I would give is like, I don't know if I buy any of the voting.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
So like,
100%.
so like they can, you know, have us all focus on this issue. But like, I mean, I feel like we've seen just in our lifetimes, the vote's been bullshit multiple times.
Yeah.
You know, so like, and I think that
I don't think we're going to have a true count, and that's for sure.
Yeah.
But as to voter fraud,
of course it's real.
It's not even a question.
I mean, of course it's real.
Not only is it real, it's happening. It's happening in real time.
I mean, again, here I am, Up is Down podcast. Listen to Dean's episode. He's a mailman.
Yeah.
Listen to Dean's episode. I mean, it just is real.
Yeah.
It just happens, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist, because there are whole trucks of mail that just get found later. You know, that have things in them.
Or like the absentee ballots for our military, right? That was a big thing. And I'm like, that's not an agenda.
Dean said he literally, when he came into the post office, he was replacing a guy that was stealing mail and had filled up an entire storage unit with mail.
Because he couldn't get it delivered, so he wasn't even trying to pervert an election.
No, they were stealing. They were stealing.
Pretty sure.
Stuff.
I don't know.
Like he was
I was telling him a story about a guy who rented a storage space to rent to his storage thing. I don't know. I just want to make sure. But yeah, I remember him saying something about that. I don't know if it was the storage unit thing. Was it the storage unit thing? Was he saying that?
He was saying he replaced somebody that was literally him and his girlfriend were like stealing the mail and filling up the storage unit. And we'll have to go back and check to make sure that was on the episode, because if it wasn't on the episode, he might.
I thought he said that when we were up in Portland.
I
think he was saying we hung out. So I think you're right.
You're right. I remember that too. Yeah.
But anyways, I think. Yeah, it's not rocket science. The mail is, but then again, like, I mean, I don't think that they're going to give us a way to vote that they can't control. That's my opinion on that.
Yeah.
So I think
it's the illusion to make us think that we have a voice.
Yeah.
And here it is at the end of the day. Like, so this is why you put a person like Biden up in the Democratic nominee, because you're throwing the fight. I said it earlier, you're throwing the fight. They're throwing the fight because they want to lose. They want that to happen. Because what happens if you lose is you can then contest the election. You know, so either way, the Democrats win. Either way, the Democrats win 100%. Because if they get Biden into office, then they can just completely carry out this agenda unfettered, steamroll all of us, put us in the human settlement zones, take all of us, like the three of us here, to, you know, re-education camps, if not kill us. You know, like that's what's going to happen if they get in charge. But if they don't get in charge, then that gives them the motive and opportunity to
I feel
do
bad
insurrection.
for people that have to run our re-education camp.
Yeah, I'll be like, fuck you. Go
they're
back to our
getting fired. There's going to be a few people that get fired trying to re-educate us.
Well, I was worried that it would be like more like us, like strapped like in a like.
Yeah, it'll be some MKO, some
like LSD in the eyes and like lobotomy through the nose. Shit, that's what I'm picturing.
Yeah, it's not going to be pleasant.
No.
But we have a bonus episode back there. It's like, you better kill me, because I'm still going to be yelling this shit at the FEMA camps, dude. You better kill me, dude. Because it's like, you know, so if they lose, then they can contest it and they can do their little thing. And this is public information. This is not some hidden conspiracy theory. Guys, they literally say this. They literally say, New York Times article, Podesta War Games, we are going to not accept the results, and we are going to secede and create our own country and declare Biden the winner.
Oh, talk about what you were saying about what they were thinking about doing with California.
Okay.
Were you telling me that?
No, that wasn't me. Who was that? That was on the Union. That was on the Union.
Yeah. They're going to split California into like 6 districts or something like that.
So that they can like switch up the electoral votes, right? That's what they're trying to get rid of the electoral college by doing that.
I think there's plans on both sides. I think like there was also a plan on the right that if they lose to contest, and I mean, the reality is they're wargaming shit all over the place. But one of them was there's going to be a whole bunch of the country that like seceded. Like
I want to
I've
know which
seen-
part secedes where we
I
don't
think
have to
we-
do mandated vaccines
here's-
and we're allowed to have freedom.
I think we're in.
We're way in a bad part.
We're in Biden.
We're in Biden country.
The Biden states of America, dude. We're gonna be in the Biden states of America.
But there are other options on the
Eugene
table.
might be the
totally.
capital of the new Biden states of
It's,
America.
it's so true that they came in and took the hippies by storm. That's what they did. They came in.
I
They
think
were
you just
like,
came up with an
these guys
episode
are
title.
open minded. Let's get them.
Yeah, they burned Portland to the ground, so now they gotta maybe
Yeah,
Eugene.
well,
Eugene's
looks pretty
next.
good.
You better believe it.
As we've heard, it's more cost effective to build smart buildings from the ground up than
Yeah.
to retrofit the old ones. So
Yep.
Portland's a great place to start there.
If we build smart buildings, then we can be then they can surveil us better. Isn't that the actual deal? Like they
Hunger Games
they
society.
know 1,000% that this isn't climate change, right? The top scientists, they know that this is garbage.
Yep.
This is garbage.
And
And so that is literally what they're doing.
Yeah, no, and I thought about this too. Like this is
green
a
veil.
the green mask, the green veil.
mask.
You know, we were talking about this the other day. Like, and I've talked about this on the show before, where it's like, okay, something shifted, something changed. What changed, right? It's
And like in the last 30 or so days.
Just in the last, well, I'm just saying like last 6 months, overall something kicked this agenda into high gear.
But I mean,
You know
just
what I
like in
mean?
the last 30, well, I guess too what we're seeing is it's like snowballing faster and faster as time goes.
Yeah,
so.
it is. But something like maybe a year, 8 months ago kicked into high gear where the powers that be at the top, they're like, okay, press the button. All right, we're ready to execute this thing. So something shifted, something changed.
And they rolled out their 10-year plan.
Yeah,
basically. That's what it was at that
the
point.
final stages.
Yes.
And then for me, I was thinking that like maybe they have AI, so strong enough AI, like that they're keeping it in a black box and contained, that can do all the work that we've done up until this point. They don't need us. That's another thing we talk about on the Union of the Unwanted, about how like, with all this technology and innovation and AI, we should have a society where we work like 12 minutes a week. Like you work like you go to your job for 12 minutes and you press a button and then you walk away, right? Like that's your job. And the rest of the time it's just leisure time. Like,
Right.
That's where the technology should be taking us. And so maybe they have this AI technology or something figured out in stashed away somewhere, or maybe it's being hidden from us that they no longer need us, which is a frightening thought. But well, you and I were talking, and I was like, okay, maybe
Probably manage about 500 million of us.
yeah,
I think that's about right.
That's about how much they need. That's how much they need. And so like, but the thing that dawned on me, like in a discussion we had when we were driving around, was that what I think is that maybe they unlocked the secret of immortality. Maybe they've unlocked that, right? Maybe that's why they don't need us anymore, is because they've achieved immortality. Whether it's from like the transhumanist stuff, or if it's from they unlock the secrets of the immortal jellyfish, right? That's a good one to look into, the immortal jellyfish. But something the Luciferian agenda is, always been, to achieve immortality on this earth, in this dimension, right? And so maybe that's what it is, and they don't need us anymore. But my only hope, and the point of saying all that is that the only hope that I have is that they still need us, because the thing that they crave more than anything else right now, more than gold, more than oil, more than children probably, actually.
I was just about to say more than children.
More than children at this point is our data. And so they still need our data, and they're innovating towards creating different ways of collecting more and more and more and more of our data.
Such as burning down cities and rebuilding them with smart buildings.
So they can't get rid of us yet because they still need our data. So I don't
They're
think
working
necessarily.
on it. It was never meant to be overnight. This has
Yeah.
been like a 60-year, as longer, but I mean, this has been like a real 60-year slow rollout into like agendas that are already written about.
Sure.
Getting rid of, in the United States specifically, they're wanting to get rid of the Constitution that was written, back in the 70s. They have a whole new constitution for the new states of America, which is it's absolute fascism. That's it.
Well, and I think, I've said before probably, but I think a piece of what's going on, and this is just coming from looking at it from the vaccine world, is like Sam always says, the internet got away from him.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a growing number of people waking up to the agenda, and maybe they're just seeing pieces of it, but we're all starting to connect it more as they've rolled this out farther. But I think they could see the rise of the people against what people are starting to see through.
Yeah.
People are starting to see through at a greater rate than they've ever had to deal with before. And so I think that if they were going to stop us, they had to push it.
Well, and here's the thing. This is the one thing I will say, and this is just my opinion, but this is what I think about like this next 4-year term. I feel like that the radical left has been like pushing this COVID agenda, right? They're pushing the climate change. They're putting anything they can to keep us locked down and to take away our rights, right? That's been the agenda. It doesn't matter what buzzword they're putting on top of it. But that's the agenda. So, and it's like you said before too, Scott, and I don't know if we all talked about it together, but like, maybe they jumped the gun. Like they maybe rolled this out just like a couple months too early. Because if they waited till 4 months ago to start the scary COVID, pandemic, we would still be in a state of like, you remember how it was like first a few months in and people were still terrified, and like now everyone's just kind of like, I feel like we've settled.
Not us, but
but I mean, but just in, like, you walk around society now, people are kind of like, they would like to get back to normal, just know where to fucking go, right? But I feel like if they get Biden in, then everything that they pushed for, they can just like seamlessly, right? Just totally unabated, like you said, just steamroll it straight out. Where with Trump in office, they're going to lose a lot of steam in 4 years. They're really going to lose a lot of steam to justify what it is that the radical left are trying to do to this nation. They can't justify it. They're not going to be able to draw coronavirus out yet again, another coronavirus for another 4 years.
I hope.
That's what
what
I think.
I hope you're right.
I'm not saying they won't try.
Because I mean, I don't know if how many articles have I seen in the last 2 days that they're talking about locking us down again?
Here in Lane County. I just read something about that this morning because they lied about some new case. Was it 2 people?
Good luck with that.
Did 2 people get a cold?
Yeah, good luck with that. And it's like, the radical left in America is literally like the military wing of the New World Order, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
Totally.
Sure.
So well said.
Yeah, that's pretty.
But have you seen some of these folks?
Yeah.
It's okay.
I think
we're going to be okay.
No, I mean, in order to militarily implement their
I agree
agenda,
with you. No, I know.
But like, we're literally, I'm just going to say it. The three of us have all had a sniffle recently, right?
My kids had the cold. Yeah. I had a cold. Yeah.
So like, and
like normal, in this
world,
normal people do.
But like in this world, it has become criminal. It has become criminal. Yeah. Like it literally has.
By the asleep.
But this is the start of the fall winter season where, guess what? People get sick.
And it's okay. I've been saying this.
Sick. And in fact, your immune system gets stronger when your body fights things off.
Yes.
So it'll maybe know how to fight cancer someday.
That's what I've been saying all along too. Them disinfecting the counters with all these toxic chemicals, all the shopping carts, every time you get out of a chair. That is, and that's part of the agenda too, though, because they want our immune systems to be weak, right? I mean, they put fluoride in our water.
Dependent on them.
100%. That's all of this is. If they can't make us dependent, they will enslave us.
Our health has to be completely dependent on them.
Yes.
So we have to come to them for all health needs. And that is
the psychological needs for our children.
That's Agenda 21,
educational
man.
needs for our children.
They want to control everything.
Yes.
Our health is a big piece of that. I mean, you're going to wake up and get your vaccines of the day. Or actually, they're going to have the patch thing on you that can inject it for you.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. But, yeah, I'm sorry. I can just go off in that.
No,
it's forever.
It's terrifying.
It scares the shit out of me.
It does me too.
But I don't think we've seen shit yet of coronavirus. Personally, I think that this
the agenda, coronavirus agenda.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. I mean, I think that we are going to have a very difficult winter because even if we get. I'm not saying. I mean, hopefully we're going to get Trump, but if in that case, I still think though that look at the fake news. I feel like
we're screwed. Even at the end of 4 years, man. What? Inevitably,
we're going to be looking at. Every single person that dies is going to be due to coronavirus.
Yep.
Every single person. Every person that's
It's amazing
sick,
how Corona came around and eradicated heart disease, it eradicated diabetes, it eradicated, people are dying from the flu, car accidents, not so much anymore though. It's a lot of COVID deaths.
Every time I cough at work, I can feel the people in the office freaking out. You can feel people's energy.
So stupid.
I can feel their energy. It's like,
So what I'm worried they're going to do, I'm worried they're going to use this. Again, I say this all along. They're using the children to control the populace. And I'm afraid that what they're going to try to do and will do is they're going to start mandating that kids have this to be able to go to school. You have to be tested to go to school. You have to be able to, this kid was this. And so therefore they're going to make all the families do it, and then they're going to contract trace the parents, and it's going to be, now it's for your job. And, but so now this kid was exposed. Now all these kids have to be,
they've
vaccinated.
been doing that for years. So
yeah.
Of course they're going to do it.
But it's just, and to me,
I agree with you.
To me, that's not voluntary, right?
But
like if you're forced to be tested medically for anything, that is a violation of your sovereignty. If you don't like that I might be sick, you stay home. You stay home. You don't tell me what to do with my body.
Yeah, totally. I completely agree. But they have created, they've been rolling this out for so long. I mean, this is cancel culture. This is the evolution of cancel culture.
But we don't have to accept it. It is.
So, I mean, certainly, I agree with you, but they put us in a pretty rock and a hard place on this one because it's our livelihoods.
Yep, it is.
It is our jobs. It is possibly to go into the supermarket. It's obviously we shared articles. We're probably not going to be able to go on planes
ever again.
Very soon.
Yeah.
Like that's just I mean, the airlines are already talking about mandatory vaccines.
Yeah.
They're already talking about. They're talking about health checks. They're talking about all kinds
the
of
COVID
things.
helmets that Rob was talking about.
Totally.
And I can't stress enough. Like, don't let them do that to you.
Yeah.
Don't let them do that to you. Just don't let them do it to your kids for sure. And we were talking about them taking kids into doctor's offices and not wanting parents to go. Don't fucking lay down for that crap.
Don't do that.
What has happened to this generation of parents? Because I grew up that you don't let your kids out of your sight, right? Like you don't just leave them in daycare. You don't just leave them at the neighbors because children get victimized. Yeah. We're talking about worldwide medical tyranny here. And we're going to maybe let our little kids go off with people who are not in their best interest, injecting them with poisons to be alone. I don't think so. Yeah. No, that is a hard no. That is a hard no. Nobody better go for that.
Yeah. Agreed.
So, we were talking on Union of the Unwanted the other day. I don't remember, it was coming up about masks, and I wanted to interject and say this, but I didn't. But that whole thing, how, I have a couple of good friends too, who are totally understand what's going on with the government, totally down with they're on the level for truth. And they're literally I can't do the confrontation. I'm just going to put on the mask. I don't want the confrontation.
I love the confrontation.
And so it's not so, it's there's acquiescence because they've militarized this loud radical left against the free thinking, people of the world. And it's to the point where like I say, I talk pretty articulately and pretty passionately. In my house it's not a guessing game that we don't wear masks, right? My kids know what's up. We don't wear them. In fact, it's forbidden. Okay, this doesn't happen. And yet, and I talked before about the family down the street that have called me a racist and told my kids that I'm a racist. So just in the last 2 weeks, for the first time in 6 months, that family has allowed their children to be out on the street in their full on masks and everything else, but they're allowed to be out on the street and ride bikes with my kids. And I'm totally fine with that. Okay. I have said before, I feel like everyone should be able to get along. I don't have a problem with them except for the hate coming out of them. It's fine. But they're so masked and they're so brainwashed into it that my almost 14-year-old daughter was being trusted to ride down the street to the park with this family, a bunch of kids in the neighborhood. Can we go to the park and come back? And I again, this is, I say this only to qualify it, but in my house, that's not allowed. We know what we stand for. We know what I do here once or twice a week, what I'm doing with you guys. My kids understand the facts.
Sure.
They understand the bullshit behind the mask. And yet my daughter comes back and I find out that out and about on this bike ride, she's masking up to be like the other kids. Away from my house, away from my presence, completely anonymous, right? I've got a little girl, it's such a crux of when they're picked off, right? And I'm so basically what my daughter spent the better part of this week doing was writing 1,000 sentences. She has 1,008 sentences is what we stopped it at that said, I will not wear a mask.
Yeah.
Because I said, if me telling you and showing you and explaining to you for 6 months and all the work we do in this house and everything I do to make sure that you guys have safety, that I'm trying to teach you guys something other than what the world is trying to strip from you. If that's not getting it into your brain, then you're going to indoctrinate yourself, and we're just going to do repetition here. I will not wear a mask 1,000 times. And so she had an interesting couple of days, and those got finished up sometime this morning, 2008. And yeah, I mean, it's just.
I love that.
But I mean,
Sure.
this is an impressionable kid, right? Who comes from like, I'm a very powerful voice, like strong woman. Like, it's not like I'm a little bit like pansy and like my kids aren't like they're wishy-washy. Like, there's no question, right? And you've been to my house, you know what it's like over there. So like, yeah, it blows my mind. And part of me is like, as a mommy, I want to look at her and be like, child, I understand that you just want to be accepted and sure. Like, but I'm not going through the like having people like call me out that I'm a devil worshiper that needs to be sacrificed alive and I'm a racist. I'm losing family. I'm losing friends because I'm standing up for what's right and have my kid go mask up behind my back. That's not happening. So anyway, there was that.
Bam.
Yeah, bam.
All right. Well, we wrapping it up.
Yeah, I think we've been going. We've been ranting. It's
a good one, baby.
It went where it went.
Yep.
It certainly went where it went, and it was great. And it's been wonderful, Megan.
All right, let's do it. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for sitting in with us this evening. I guess technically for you guys it's Sunday morning. I am Megan sitting here with the amazing Scott and Ed. We wish all of you intellectual prosperity. Good night.
That's also amazing, Ed. Thank you.
Yeah.
Boo, 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 boo. Bam. Pew.
Pew.